Well, well, well. Feeds were pretty good today, mostly because Frenchie took a nap for half of it, and production let him because I think they're just as tired. That Frenchie is one exhausting person. But I'm going to start with this girls' alliance that finally formed. Now, if it's going to work out, it's to be determined. But it is Hannah, Ozza, Brittany, and Tiffany. They're still coming up with a name. They've all given out different possibilities. I think a lot of people, including myself, have been thinking Brittany probably should not be included in an all girls alliance. But I don't know. I think we could be misjudging her. I think we need to give her a chance. But, we saw what giving Frenchie a chance brought us. So I'm sure she'll probably prove everybody right soon enough. Usually with the Girls Alliance on Big Brother, it's like, how long is it actually going to last? We will see. There are some bright women in that alliance. Hopefully, Brittany is not the weak link everybody thinks she might be. There was also another problem tonight when they were all trying to do the whole stupid little yay thing with each other. Xavier walked in the room. It was kind of awkward. So we'll see if anything comes of that. But for the big news of the day, that was the veto. Derek X got picked, Travis got picked by Kyland, and Tiffany got picked to go against the nominees and the HOH in the veto. Derek X comes up on top, like I predicted on our rankings that you should watch. The other part of one other part of my prediction might come true in that he's going to save Kyland. I also said that Frenchie might know that he needs to put up Travis and yet still put up another girl. We'll talk about all that a little later. But Derek X wins the veto, and the Pisces is thriving now, and I love to see it. Pisces are the best at martyrs, and he has been doing such a good job of martyring over the last couple of days that today he gets to use his Pisces intuition, but we'll see how far that intuition actually takes him. But I think he's actually finally starting to use his intuition of who he can actually work with in this game. And one of them is Ozza, who, like I said on the rankings, they have a good little flirt match going on. I think that is his favorite person in the house, or at least one of them. In a conversation with Xavier tonight, Derek X did say he wants to ride with Ozza to the end because Ozza really was one of the only people that still treated him the same way over the last couple of days since the whole fallout from Frenchie's bullshit started. So when Frenchie woke up from his long needed nap, him and Derek X had this 2-hour conversation of more ridiculousness from Frenchie. Frenchie starts that conversation being like, or trying to allude like Alyssa is his target. And that since Derek X wants to put the veto on Kyland, he can. But as the conversation keeps going, it becomes more and more apparent that Frenchie's trying to convince Derek X to actually use the veto on Alyssa, even though he just said Alyssa was his target. And I really like to think Derek X is picking up on this, but I think that is still the part of Derek X's game that is lacking. He has not watched a lot of Big Brother. I think he is playing dumb, as he confessed to Tiffany tonight. And I hope to remember to get to Tiffany later. But he also, I just don't know if he picks up on everything. He reminds me of all the recruits from Big Brother 18, like Paul. When Paul started that game on Big Brother 18, he was just as bad at the game as Jose and had just as many illusions of grandeur as Jose, but Jose was so over the top about it. But Paul survived the early game, and as he learned the game more and more, he eventually got really good at it. And I do think Derek X is on that same path. I'll try and get more into that, why he might even be better off than Paul. He might, or at least, learn quicker than Paul did. because Paul didn't learn for like a month. But as that conversation with Frenchie continues to go, with Frenchie, plea to use the veto on Alyssa, he kind of just basically gives up and is like, he starts to tell Derek X about the alliance. This being the 15th person he has admitted to this alliance about. But then he backtracks later on, at least, and is like, well, it's not an alliance, it's people that, have just really connected over this first week. And he could bring Derek X in and give Derek X numbers next week. But it still doesn't work on Derek X. And about the 90-minute mark of Frenchie talking in circles, Derek X was so done with that conversation. I said on Twitter, it was like when I was a child in church and I wanted to just be anywhere else. It was basically like this. This was Derek X at a point in the conversation, trying to take in all of Frenchie's nonsense. And in the end, Derek X is like, I'm going to use the veto on Kyland. And so Frenchie says, that's okay. We could still bring you in because Kyland's a part of this, blah, blah, blah. And so that is the plan right now for Derek X, to use the veto on Kyland, take him down, and Frenchie is supposed to renom Travis. Now, will Frenchie actually go through with that? I mean, he should. He is actually backed into a corner right now because his BFF in this house, who is Brent now, he's basically letting Brent run his HOH after being, I'm going to stand up to the jocks and the bros. Brent's kind of running Frenchie. Frenchie's a pussy. Frenchie is a pussy. But if we went through this entire roller coaster of a week to get out Travis, Frenchie is going to end up in a not as bad spot as it could have. Now, I mean, he just continues to make mistake after mistake in this game and continues to lie when he really doesn't have to. That I just need to see what is going to happen after the veto ceremony and if people are still talking to Frenchie a lot or if he is on an island. That's going to be very important to watch, and I really hope he's on an island. I mean, a lot of people are talking. He's just rubbing a lot of people the wrong way now. Christian's just saying how dumb this week is, and it's true. Azza got annoyed because she wanted to take a shower in the HOH room. He said it would be 5 more minutes talking with Derek X, and then he'll bring her in. That turned into 20 more minutes, and then he brought in Brent instead of her, so she had to take a shower downstairs. Yeah. So Frenchie is a mess, but it might wind up not in such a bad spot. I mean, I want him to go next week. I can't stand listening to this man anymore. Especially just at one point in the wee hours of yesterday, he said he would volunteer as a pawn next week. So we'll see if that happens. Probably will with this guy. But I want to talk about Tiffany. Tiffany's game just keeps getting better, honestly. She has the shuffle game down. She's such a super fan. She's on everything. She's even very good at always mispronouncing the players in the cookouts names so that the whites don't, catch on to how close they really are. She's braiding everybody's hair. I don't really know what that is about, but she keeps doing it. And then she had this great conversation with Derek X tonight after he had that long conversation with Frenchie. He also had a long conversation with Xavier as Xavier's trying to make sure they're cool and fine. Xavier is really just trying to make sure he's going to use the veto so that either Alyssa or Kylan are safe because he wants both of them safe. But Tiffany and Derek X had this really great conversation, a lot of laughing. All the weight is definitely off Derek X's shoulders now. And Tiffany gave him some great pointers, really teaching him how to leave a room. She leaves the room better than anyone. The other night, when Frenchie was listening at the door, she walked out like he did it. She walked out like she didn't know he was there, catching him. Tonight they were in the pantry, and when somebody was coming in, she had a banana peel ready to throw away as soon as somebody walked in so they could walk out. Like she was just in there throwing something away. So yeah, Tiffany, she is kind of running the game, honestly. I mean, kind of not. She's not included in the whole slaughterhouse debacle, but dude, does anybody really want to be in there? Like, really? Alyssa's playing really better now. Maybe I should just go through everybody tonight. Let me see if there's any more important things I needed to talk about before going over everybody's games. Oh, I did make note that Tiffany's a Libra rising. Anybody into astrology would know. Maybe that's why her social game's so great. And then I also just made a note about how, at some point, I don't know if it was actually in a video or if it was on Twitter, how I said production was going to make sure Frenchie was screwed as soon as he turned down their flop twist and didn't roll the dice and made Julie look stupid because Julie was on all these interviews saying, oh, yeah, they're going to make an offer that nobody can refuse. And then Frenchie refuses the twist. So, yeah, production had a part in working overtime to make Frenchie look dumb. And they succeeded with flying colors. Because he actually is, really. They probably actually didn't have to do too much. I take it back. Xavier today, I mean, it looks like he's getting his wish. Both Alyssa and Kylan should be safe this week if Travis is the one put on the block. Brittany made that girl's alliance. Well, Tiffany made it, but Brittany has been talking about doing it too. So, I mean, she definitely wants to be in this alliance, which is why I think maybe she actually will follow through and it can be a good alliance for now. I don't know if it's going to last the whole game, especially since so much else is going on. But I'm giving Brittany a chance. I'll probably regret it. Tiffany, like I already said, best social game. She knows everything that's going on. She acts like she's not in the know with a lot of people, but she always seems to be in the know. Yeah, Tiffany is just great. She's gold. Brent's a dick, giving that small dick energy for sure. He just keeps trying to talk down to Derek X, and at one point when Frenchie brought Brent into the HOH room, he sat with Frenchie on the couch looking at Derek X on the fucking chair. It's these fucking white guys are such insecure little bitches. It's just true. A lot of white guys can be that way. And Brent is one of those people. And he's supposed to be a flight attendant. I can't wait till he goes back to his job and gets slapped by one of those stupid anti-maskers. Travis is so non-existent on feeds that it's like him going home, we're not losing anything. He like really has not even been involved on the feeds. So I'm kind of wondering how they're going to edit these episodes. I really hope the cookout makes the edits, but I don't trust production. I feel like it's going to be very Frenchie, Christian, Brent, Travis heavy somehow. I'm sure they'll make it that way. Oh, one important thing I did not talk about earlier that I wanted to talk about, and it involves both Brent and Whitney, is these two are just so gung-ho with that stupid mentality about follow the HOH, do what the HOH wants to do. Such boring players. I don't know why these two are that way. Whitney seems very hardcore. We got to follow the HOH on most weeks. That's disheartening. That's annoying. I know Meg said that she's hoping Whitney can pull off a badass and be Janelle. She ain't giving that at all. Whitney sucks. Derek X might be starting a thriving chapter in his part of the house. Now that the weight is off his shoulders, he has Veto, he's safe. His social game is starting to finally pick up. He knows he trusts to talk to Azza and Tiffany and Xavier. Unfortunately, he still has to deal with Kyland and Travis. I'll get to Kyland in a while. Azza is starting to get suspicious of there has to be a bigger alliance in the house. There is. Derek F has not told her the many times she has kind of questioned him tonight. So we'll talk about Derek F next. I'm starting to think the F might stand for fool when it comes to Derek F. He says he's trying to lay low, but he has a lot going on now. Now that he's in that stupid slaughterhouse butchers thing, he's in the cookout. He also has a final two with Frenchie, of all people. I just really feel like all of these things could lead to his demise sooner rather than later. I really feel like there's gonna be a point where Derek F gets exposed about something, and he's gonna be drama about it, and it's gonna speed up his demise. We'll see, but right now he's starting to look like he's on thin ice. Alyssa is great, honestly. She's been fighting very hard to stay in this game. I respect it a lot. She had a great talk with Derek X before he had that long ass talk with Frenchie, and I really want to see what Alyssa does after this week if she sticks around. Because right now she's acting like she's a really gung ho with Frenchie and that she's cool with this slaughterhouse alliance of 8, even though more people should know about it. But I just feel like she knows Frenchie is so dumb. I just really hope that alliance implodes really quickly in this coming week. It's really going to depend on when Ginger Wage. Kylan is a mess. Like his on one hand his social game is great, but on the other hand sometimes he also talks too much. Sometimes he's not very good at explaining what he's trying to say, and now he's just really paranoid that Derek X is not going to use the veto on him even though he is. It's a whole thing. Kylan needs to really get it together because he is cracking. Sarah is who Travis is pitching to Frenchie to backdoor, which is what I predicted. That was the last part of my prediction on the rankings. I predicted that Derek X would win the veto yesterday and that he would save Kylan and that somehow, some way, Frenchie would put Sarah or like Hannah up. And speaking of Hannah, sometimes I worry for her because she's not really included in any alliance. But I'm not really sure if that's that terrible of a thing. I just really do feel like she needs someone. She needs to connect with someone, and I don't know who that is. I feel like her being the youngest, she's the odd one out, rather than the oldest player being the odd one out. But she is very smart, and I do think she's collecting a lot of information that she could use down the line. I just need her to connect with someone. I do think she needs someone in this game, but we'll see. Christian, I don't really have a lot to say about Christian. I feel like Christian is a likable guy if only he didn't talk down to women so much and be, such a bro sometimes. But other than that, not a lot to say about Christian today. And then last, I think, is Frenchie. Hopefully, I covered everybody. Frenchie, still a mess. I mean, that 2-hour conversation with Eric X, where he just talked in circles, gave Derek X a lot of information that he really didn't need to. Frenchie just takes a simple 10-minute conversation and somehow always turns it into this bigger. It's like the snowball rolling down the hill, always with this guy. But it was an entertaining day, and I'm glad Derek X won the veto, and now he could thrive as his Pisces self. It's going to be interesting what happens after this week, though, because the Slaughterhouse Alliance, Derek F seems to be taking it seriously. The guys do seem to be taking the Butchers seriously, that guy's alliance. But when Frenchie put this alliance together, it's not like it came together naturally. He just spearheaded it really quickly. Then he just added new people to it without really conversating with the rest of the group. It's just a big alliance that will hopefully implode really quickly. That's best case scenario for sure.